Autograph Fisherman here, and this is Remember That Show, where I look into our past and pick a show and do a bio on it. This week it is Saved by the Bell, genre teen sitcom, created by Sam Bobrick, starring Mark Paul Gosselaar, Mario Lopez, Dustin Diamond, Tiffany Amber Thiessen, Elizabeth Berkley, Lark Voorhees, Ed Alonzo, Dennis Haskins, Leanna Creel, theme music composer Scott Gale. Country of origin United States. Original language English. Number of seasons 4. Number of episodes 86. Production executive producer Peter Engel. Camera setup videotape, multi-camera. Running time 22 to 24 minutes. Production companies: Peter Engel Productions, NBC Productions. Original release: Network NBC. Release August 20th, 1989. May 22nd, 1993. Saved by the Bell is an American television teen sitcom created by Sam Bobrick for NBC. The series premiered in prime time on August 20th, 1989, a Sunday night. Targeted at kids and teens, Saved by the Bell was broadcast in the United States on Saturday mornings, later as a flagship series in NBC's TNBC lineup. A spin-off of the Disney Channel series Good Morning, Miss Bliss. The show follows a group of high school friends and their principal at the fictional Bayside High School in Los Angeles, primarily focusing on lighthearted comedic situations. It occasionally touches on serious social issues, such as drug use, driving under the influence, homelessness, remarriage, death, women's rights, and environmental issues. The series starred Mark Paul Gosselaar, Dustin Diamond, Lark Voorhees, Dennis Haskins, Tiffany Amber Thiessen, Elizabeth Berkley, and Mario Lopez. The series ran for 4 seasons, airing its final episode, again in prime time, on May 22nd, 1993, a Saturday night. The show spawned 2 spin-off series: Saved by the Bell, The College Years, 1993 to 1994, a primetime series that follows several of the characters to college, and Saved by the Bell, The New Class, 1993 to 2000, a Saturday morning series that follows a new group of students at Bayside High School. The series also spawned 2 TV movies: Saved by the Bell, Hawaiian Style in 1992, and Saved by the Bell, Wedding in Las Vegas in 1994. In later years, Saved by the Bell has been classified as educational and informational. The show was named one of the 20 best school shows of all time by AOL TV. Characters. In casting Good Morning, Miss Bliss, Peter Engel knew the success of the show would not hinge on Miss Bliss herself, but on her students. Engel particularly envisioned one character, Zach Morris, who would be that incorrigible kid who could lie to your face, letting you know very well that he's lying and make you love him for it all the same. Engel insisted that the show could not go on without Zach Morris, but he turned out to be one of the most difficult characters to cast. Engel's casting director, Shauna Landsbug, finally happened across 14-year-old Mark Paul Gosselaar and was immediately struck by the teen's charisma, charm, and good looks. After a quick read-through, Gosselaar was immediately given the role. After casting Zach Morris, the next character sought after was Morris's nerdy friend, Samuel Screech Powers. Gosselaar was asked to read through the script with numbered kids, and a second audition was scheduled for finalists. It was Gosselaar himself who insisted that Dustin Diamond was right for the part, as he believed Diamond was Screech in real life. After reading through the script, Diamond was given the part, although Engel later found out that he had misread his headshot and Diamond was considerably younger than the rest of the cast, a fact that, had he been aware, might have prevented Engel from casting him. Lisa Turtle was originally conceived as a rich Jewish princess from Long Island, spoiled, materialistic, and obsessed with shopping. While still casting for the role, actress Lark Voorhees was brought into Engel's office, and he immediately knew she was perfect for the role despite the fact that it meant rewriting the character. The school principal, Mr. Gerald Belding, as originally conceived on Good Morning, Miss Bliss, was an older, humorless man and was played in the 1987 pilot by character actor Oliver Clark. After the show was retooled for Disney Channel, the character's first name was changed to Richard, and he was recast, with Dennis Haskins ultimately winning the role. Mr. Belding was rewritten to be significantly younger and to have a much different sense of humor. When Good Morning, Miss Bliss was retooled as Saved by the Bell, For actors and their respective characters from the original series were brought over to the new series: Gosler, Diamond, Voorhees, and Haskins. The rest of the cast was fired, and Engel sought to replace them with new characters who would complement the old ones. The first of the new characters, A.C. Slater, was conceived as a young John Travolta type who would be an army brat and wear a leather jacket. He was originally conceived of as Italian-American. However, when all efforts to cast a character were unsuccessful, Engel asked that the part be opened up to other ethnicities. 2 days later, Mario Lopez, a dancer and drummer of Latino descent from Kids Incorporated, auditioned for the role. Lopez was judged the best actor who auditioned and was cast. For Kelly Kapowski, the love interest of both Zach and Slater, producers were able to narrow the field down to 3 actresses: Tiffany Amber Thiessen, Elizabeth Berkley, and Thiessen's future Beverly Hills 90210 co-star, Jenny Garth. Engel had originally met Thiessen in 1988 while casting for Good Morning, Miss Bliss, and was impressed with how much her acting had improved. He wanted her for the role, believing she had the perfect all-American girl appeal for the role, while others felt that Berkley, as a more experienced actress, would be a more reliable choice. Ultimately, Engel convinced the others after a read-through with Lopez, and Thiessen received the role. Engel and the other producers did not want to lose Berkley, however, as she was the strongest actress they had seen during casting. Berkley originally auditioned for the role of Karen, a love interest of Zach's on Good Morning, Miss Bliss, but lost the role because she was so much taller than Gosler at the time. Engel believed that now that her height was more even with the rest of the cast, she could be perfect. They were not having much luck in casting the third new character, Jesse Spano, who was conceived as a strong, feminist activist and a straight-A student. So Engel suggested offering the role to Berkley, who gladly accepted it. Rounding out the new cast was real-life magician Ed Alonzo as Max, the owner of the gang's frequent cafe hangout, the Max, who frequently performed magic tricks. Alonzo's role, however, would ultimately only last to the end of the first season, and he left after a single guest appearance during season 2. In 1992, Saved by the Bell unexpectedly received an order for an additional 11 episodes to be shot after the graduation episode. However, Thiessen and Berkley had already decided to leave the show. Though producers knew they could not replace Kelly and Jesse, they also knew they could not leave Lisa as the only girl on the show. A new character, Tori Scott, was created as a cool but pretty biker girl who would also serve as a love interest for Zach and also act as a nemesis for him initially. Leanna Creel was cast for part. Rather than develop a second new character, the producers decided to rely more on minor recurring characters, such as Ginger, Ox, and Big Pete. Production: Good Morning, Miss Bliss. In 1986, Brandon Tartikoff, then president of NBC, asked Peter Engel to develop the pilot for a new primetime series, Good Morning, Miss Bliss. Tartikoff had been inspired by his 6th grade teacher, Miss Bliss, and had long wanted to make a show about someone like her. The series would focus on Miss Carrie Bliss, a recently married 6th grade teacher at the fictional John F. Kennedy Junior High School in Indianapolis. Though Sandy Duncan was originally considered for the titular role, the series ultimately became a vehicle for British former child star Hayley Mills. Veteran writer Sam Bobrick was brought on to write the episode, and the cast included future stars Jonathan Brandis, Brian Austin Green, and Jaleel White. The pilot aired on June 11, 1987, but NBC had decided not to pick up the series even before it was shown. Tartikoff did not want to give up on the show, though, and made a deal with the Disney Channel to air 13 episodes of the series in prime time. If the initial order did well, Disney was prepared to order an additional 77. The show was completely retooled, with Mills the sole remaining cast member from the pilot. Miss Bliss's class was changed from the 6th grade to the 8th grade, and the kids would be more central to the story. Good Morning, Miss Bliss aired from 1988 to 1989. However, the show failed to pick up a following and did poorly in the ratings. By the time the last episode aired, Disney had already decided against ordering more. Saved by the Bell, Tartikoff felt there had been strong elements to Good Morning, Miss Bliss, and wanted to try the show again with a different time slot and a different approach. The elements featuring the kids had been well received, so Tartikoff wanted to drop Miss Bliss from the show altogether and focus entirely on the teens. NBC had been losing the high end of their animated audience, kids from 10 to 12, so the idea was to create a live-action comedy to air on Saturday mornings, a new idea at the time. Engel was skeptical of the new format at first, and did not want to make children's programming. However, his wife convinced him that making the show would be a worthwhile endeavor, and he soon told Tartikoff he would do the show. Engel felt, however, that Indianapolis was not exciting as a location, and moved the show to a fictionalized version of a Los Angeles neighborhood, the Palisades. The main locations of the show will be the teenager school, Bayside High, and the Max, a fictional eatery they frequent. In addition, they would film before a live studio audience. The majority of the cast was replaced, and Tartikoff gave a 7-episode commitment for the show. In a meeting with Engel and Tartikoff, senior producer Tom Tenowich suggested the name Saved by the Bell. Though Engel hated the name, Tartikoff loved it. The name stuck, and filming commenced with the first episode, Dancing to the Max, airing in prime time on August 20th, 1989. Theme song. The theme song for Saved by the Bell was written by composer Scott Gale against the implicit instructions of Engel. Though Engel had not been able to keep the show from being named Saved by the Bell, he was determined to prevent the phrase from showing up in the theme. He gave explicit orders to his team of composers that he would not accept any theme that referenced the title, and the group agreed to leave out the phrase. A week later, Engel listened to the first 4 composers, and though they followed his instructions, the songs were flat and nothing special. Gale played a song next, and though he explicitly violated Engel's instructions, Engel couldn't help but admit it was the best and perfect for the show. Engel would later comment that he was glad Gale had not followed his instructions. Films. Saved by the Bell, Hawaiian Style. In 1992, NBC approved production of a feature-length made-for-television Saved by the Bell film to air in prime time. Titled Saved by the Bell, Hawaiian Style, the film followed the 6 teenagers in the show as they vacation in Hawaii with Kelly's grandfather, Harry Bannister, Dean Jones. They soon discover Mr. Belding also happens to be there, and the 7 are caught up in a plan to save Harry's resort from a greedy developer. The film was written by Bennett Tramer and directed by Don Barnhart. Due to budget constraints, much of the film was shot in Santa Monica, with only location shots that could not easily be fake shot in Hawaii. The shooting schedule in Hawaii turned out to be massive. Even after Engel and Barnhart scouted the location, real-life lifeguards were hired as extras during beach scenes to ensure the safety of the cast. Variety said, "The Clearasil demo will eat it up. Older viewers may choke on the realization that Dean Jones is old enough to be a grandfather." Saved by the Bell. Hawaiian Style was successful in the ratings and paved the way for Saved by the Bell, the college years airing in prime time. Saved by the Bell, Wedding in Las Vegas. Following the cancellation of Saved by the Bell, the college years on a cliffhanger in 1994, NBC President Warren Littlefield commissioned a second film to serve as a series finale for both Saved by the Bell, the college years, and the original show. The story features Zach, Kelly, Slater, Screech, and Lisa traveling to Las Vegas, so Zach and Kelly can elope after their parents disapprove of their impending marriage. Home media. Lionsgate Home Entertainment released all 4 seasons of Saved by the Bell, which contains 86 episodes, broken into 5 seasons, Season 4 split in 2, on DVD in Region 1. However, the episodes on these and all subsequent releases are the edited versions, as used in syndication, with scenes cut for time. Lionsgate released the 2 feature-length TV movies on DVD in Region 1 on August 7, 2007. On March 13, 2012, Lionsgate, distributed by Alliance Films, released Saved by the Bell, the complete collection on DVD in Canada. The 13-disc set features all 86 episodes of the series, as well as the 2 television films. On November 5, 2013, Lionsgate released a complete series set in the United States. It does not contain the reunion movies, but does include some bonus commentaries. On October 16, 2018, Shout! Factory re-released a complete series on DVD in Region 1. Unlike the previous releases, the set includes Season 4 in its entirety, rather than having it being broken up into 2 parts. Bonus features include selected episodes commentaries by pop culture historian Russell Dieball, executive producer Peter Engel, and cast members Dustin Diamond, Dennis Haskins, and Lark Voorhees. In Region 2, Fabulous Films has released all 5 seasons on DVD in the UK. Contender Entertainment Group released the 2 reunion telefilms on DVD in the UK in 2004. In Region 4, Shock Entertainment released Season 1 on DVD in Australia on February 10, 2010. Spin-offs. The show was popular enough to justify 2 spin-offs, both of which premiered in 1993. Saved by the Bell, The College Years. Following conclusion of Saved by the Bell, an idea came out of focus group for Saved by the Bell, The New Class, in addition to creating a new cast of characters, to continue the story of the original Saved by the Bell cast. The new show aired in prime time and featured only Zach, Slater, and Screech from the original cast attending the fictional California University and living in a suite with a new cast of girls. Kelly later joined the cast after the pilot. Although the premiere garnered decent viewership, ratings quickly declined against the competition of Full House and Rescue 911, 2 well-established, popular shows in prime time. Saved by the Bell. The College Years was ultimately canceled after only 1 season of 19 episodes. The events of the final episode would lead directly into the second Saved by the Bell film, Saved by the Bell, Wedding in Las Vegas. Saved by the Bell, The New Class. In 1993, NBC decided it wanted to extend the Saved by the Bell franchise with a new show, Saved by the Bell, The New Class. Also set at Bayside, the show would follow a new cast of characters as they navigate their high school years. Reprising his role from the original series was Dennis Haskins, once again as their principal, Mr. Belding. Following the cancellation of Saved by the Bell, The College Years in 1994, Peter Engel asked Dustin Diamond to reprise his role as Samuel Screech Powers, who was returning to Bayside on a work-study program as Mr. Belding's administrative assistant. Saved by the Bell. The New Class ran for 7 seasons and 143 episodes, from 1993 to 2000. The cast was constantly revolving, with Haskins as the only constant throughout all 7 seasons. The show was not generally well received, and some believe that it failed to recapture the charm of the original series. Reunions. On April 9, 2006, Cartoon Network's Adult Swim announced that Saved by the Bell would air at midnight as a 2-week special starting April 17th. On April 19, 2006, Adult Swim also posted on their website that Saved by the Bell was back in production. A week later, the announcement was exposed as a joke. On March 27, 2009, NBC's Late Night with Jimmy Fallon launched a campaign to get the cast on board for a Saved by the Bell reunion. Fans signed an online petition and pledged their support for the cast to reunite on the show. Dennis Haskins, Lark Voorhees, Mario Lopez, Elizabeth Berkley, and Mark Paul Gosselaar agreed to a reunion. Gosselaar reprised his role as Zach Morris in a skit on Late Night on June 8, 2009, while promoting his then current TNT drama, Raising the Bar. The spoof interview closed with a performance of Friends Forever, originally by Zack Attack, where Zach played guitar and sang with backing from Fallon's house band, The Roots. Tiffany Thiessen posted a parody video to the website Funny or Die, where she claimed she was too busy to join the reunion. The cast reunited in August 2009 for a photo shoot in People. Diamond was not invited to participate in the photo shoot because of poor relationships with the rest of the cast. Diamond's image was also edited out of the 1989 cast photo that was used on the cover inset of an issue of People to show how the cast looked 20 years later. The cast convened again when Haskins, Diamond, Gosselaar, Voorhees, and Lopez did their own voices in a Saved by the Bell Saw parody called Sawed by the Bell on Bukkake, a Season 3 episode of Robot Chicken. Gosselaar also provided audio commentary for the episode on the DVD. On February 4th, 2015, the cast appeared on a skit on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. Haskins, Gosselaar, Lopez, Berkley, and Thiessen all participated, though Voorhees and Diamond did not. With Thiessen's real-life pregnancy, Lopez's involvement with Dancing with the Stars, and Berkley's film showgirls the targets of some of the humor. Revival. On September 17, 2019, it was announced that a single-camera revival of the series was in development for NBC's planned streaming service, Peacock, with Tracy Wigfield serving as showrunner. The series will center around a new group of Bayside High students from overprivileged and working-class families, among the latter of which were transferred to school as part of a plan by now California Governor Zach Morris, whose administration experiences controversy for closing too many low-income high schools to send lower-income students to the highest-performing schools in the state. Berkeley and Lopez were initially announced as the only cast members of the original series to be reprising their roles, though by January 2020, it was confirmed that Mark Paul Gosselaar, who was confirmed to appear in 3 episodes of the revival series' first season, as well as receiving executive producer credit, and Tiffany Thiessen, both of whom were confirmed by Gosselaar in separate September 2019 interviews with Variety and TMZ to have not been initially approached to reprise their characters, would also be returning in some capacity. However, it was unclear as to which of the other cast members would return. Lark Voorhees reprised her role as Lisa Turtle for 1 episode, and Ed Alonzo also returned as Max. Other actors confirmed to appear as new characters in the series are John Michael Higgins as Principal Toddman, who took over Mr. Belding's role as the head of Bayside High. 47 and Josie Toda as Lexi, described as a beautiful, sharp-tongued cheerleader and the most popular girl at Bayside High who is both admired and feared by her fellow students. Other media, soundtrack, Saved by the Bell, soundtrack to the original hit TV series, soundtrack album by various artists, released April 11, 1995, recorded 1989 to 1992, genre rock/pop, a CD and cassette tape soundtrack, was released on April 11, 1995. It contains songs used throughout the series. The track listing is as follows: Saved by the Bell, Don't Leave with Your Love, Go For It, Love Me Now, Make My Day, Friends Forever, Do We Ever Have a Chance, Deep Within My Heart, Surfer Dude, Gone Hawaiian, School Song, Saved by the Bell with Michael Damian. List of Saved by the Bell novels. There have been 22 standalone novels based on the show, all written by Beth Cruz, a pseudonym used by the American author Beth Henderson. The first 16 were published by Collier Books in the USA, a Macmillan imprint. The final 6 were published by Aladdin Paperbacks, a Simon & Schuster imprint. All 22 novels were later republished by Box Street Ltd in the UK. The books all feature the main cast, and have storylines that relate to, but often differ from and expand, the main plots in the TV shows. The list below is given in the order provided by the original publishers, Collier and then Aladdin, although this is not strictly the order in which the books were first published. By the time Bayside Madness was released in 1993, for instance, at least 5 other titles had already been published the previous year. Collier Books only introduced a numbered order, including numbers on front covers, with Book 12, Computer Confusion, in 1994. Box Street added numbers to its front covers at least as early as Book 10, Kelly's Hero, which it published in 1995. Comic books. In 1992, Harvey Comics published a short-lived Saved by the Bell comic series. 7 issues were released, including a Christmas and a summer special. The comic was generally not well received, with comic book critic Matt D. Wilson saying its character likenesses for the show starts were rough at best. In 2014, Lion Forge Comics announced that its new all-ages imprint Roar Comics would publish a new Saved by the Bell comic. Set initially during the gang's freshman year of high school, the comic serves as a modern update to the classic series. It premiered in March 2014 alongside Roar's adaptation of Punky Brewster, Behind the Bell book. In 2009, Dustin Diamond published an inside story of the show's cast and crew from his point of view, entitled Behind the Bell. The book paints an unflattering portrait of many of Diamond's colleagues and their alleged backstage behavior. Some of Diamond's claims have been refuted by colleagues and questioned by critics. Diamond also alleges in the book that he had sex with 2,000 women, one of them being NBC's Vice President of Children's Programming, Linda Mancuso, who was 18 years a senior. Diamond later disclaimed responsibility for much of the book's content, blaming his ghostwriter for fabricating salacious stories. The unauthorized Saved by the Bell story aired on Lifetime on September 1st, 2014. Bayside, the musical. In September 2013, Bayside, the musical, an unauthorized parody of Saved by the Bell, opened at NYC's Theater 80. Bayside, the musical, was named a New York Times Critics' Pick. Bayside, the musical, was written and directed by Bob and Toby McSmith, the same creative team behind Showgirls. The musical, in contrast to the wholesome nature of Saved by the Bell, Bayside, the musical, contains strong language and adult situations throughout. The show's run is an extended 6 times. Bayside originally debuted in 2005 under the title Bayside, the Unmusical. The following year, a sequel was produced called Bayside 2. Electric Scricchio, the show, then took several years off, reopening in 2012 at NYC's Crane Theater with a revamped script and new cast following the success of Showgirls. The musical, the show's creators Bob and Toby McSmith revisited their script and reworked it from the ground up. The show has had appearances from original Saved by the Bell cast members, such as Dustin Diamond and Dennis Haskins. Well, that was another Remember That show. I hope you enjoyed. I cannot wait until next week to find out what show I will pick. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe. As always, until next time, keep on collecting. Bye.